Folks, I got kids, man. This isn't a joke. This is a coup. This is an insurrection. Thinking about it as anything more at this point is a catastrophic miscalculation. Ladies and gentlemen, let me walk through first what's happening with the White House. I'm going to play some videos. I'm going to keep the volume low because I'm going to talk over some of them, and it's important. We had tear gas deployed at the White House, ladies and gentlemen. You see this right here. This is video taken last night, not far from the White House. They're going to have to disperse these crowds eventually if this continues, ladies and gentlemen. This is the kind of chaos we're witnessing in America right now. Now, again, not every one of these people is an anarchist. Not every one of these people is a terrorist. Not everyone is a criminal. Some of them have an obvious interest in a protest of what we all saw as an injustice with Mr. Floyd. Again, that's over now. I'm sad to tell you that. It horrifies me to tell you that, but your movement has been hijacked and it's now on you. And I'm going to get to this in a minute. This is really three distinct groups right now. I've got a lot to talk about. These, which have now turned into riots, are now three distinct groups. They don't all have a common interest. Matter of fact, many of them have conflicting interests. We have to take advantage of that. President Trump has thankfully activated military police units around the White House. Ladies and gentlemen, on the perimeter at least, we just don't have enough bodies there. There's the White House. You can watch a video if you're listening on audio. The White House has a massive crowd in front of it. There are military police units and others forming a hard line in front of the White House where they will not let people pass. They're throwing fireworks at them. Ladies and gentlemen, this is happening in our country right now. Last night was a disaster. The night before was a disaster. The night before was an even bigger disaster. This has got to stop. We've got to get control of this now. You can see the videos if you'd like to at my on our video show at youtube.com/Bongino. We'd appreciate if you check them out. You need to see what's going on right now. Now, in addition to this unrest, ladies and gentlemen, this has hit me in my gut pretty hard. You know, when I was an agent, I spent a lot of time in St. John's Church across from the White House. Many of you have been to the White House, know the church I'm talking about. It's a yellow building. It's a small church. It's not a large church. It's been there for eons. Almost every modern president has attended services there on Sunday. You know how many times I've stood post in that church with President Bush and President Obama? Well, this is what happened to this church last night. You can hear Kevin Corke from Fox News reporting from outside where these animals set the place on fire. Now, the damage, thankfully, was not catastrophic, but it was bad. What are you doing? This is a church. This is the same church Barack Obama and George Bush went to, the same church President Trump went to, the same church Bill Clinton and Ronald Reagan went to. What are you doing? What are you doing in this city in Washington, D.C.? I stood post in that church many times. It's a beautiful place. The history there is incredible. I remember sitting in that church with President Bush one time thinking, gosh, how many prominent national leaders have walked through these doors and sat in that very seat? Now all I'm thinking about is the damage done and all the historical artifacts in there that could have been destroyed if this had gotten worse. Folks, I got kids, man. This isn't a joke. This is a coup. This is an insurrection. Thinking about it as anything more at this point is a catastrophic miscalculation. I'm going to give you some steps to fix this in a minute. I hope the president's listening. Can I just say on an optimistic note for a moment, because I don't want the show to be entirely macabre. Folks, we can get through this. This is a test. I spoke to a friend of mine in the radio business, not at liberty, but you probably figure out who it is. He's a great guy. And I said to him, you know, this is a test. And he said to me, yeah, the Romans were tested too. They failed. The Persians were tested. They failed. The Greeks were tested. They failed. The Ottomans were tested. They failed. We can't fail. The nation Candidly, folks, if you were making a pure probability equation, we shouldn't even exist. There was no reason we should have won that Revolutionary War. The odds were insurmountable, facing the world's largest, most powerful army. And we won. The War of 1812. Some historians would tell you we only came out on the other side of that because of the fortuitous luck of a rainstorm in D.C. We shouldn't have won that either. Probability would dictate that after that damage, we would have been lost to a civil war or the strife of the 60s, and none of that happened. We came through it all stronger. I believe with all of my heart, with every ounce of my soul and being, that this country's been touched by the hand of God, that we're here for a reason. It's not probability. It's not logistics. It's not the mastery of certain military tactics. Sometimes we've blown it. It's because God wants us to be here. And he's testing us right now. We've passed those tests in the past against insurmountable odds. We'll pass this test too. But we're going to have to step up now. If you're not ready to lead, it's time to step aside. And to the protesters, I understand. I've spoken about the case of Mr. Floyd. But I'm very sorry, the protest, you've been hijacked. There are other ways to do this. Go knock on doors for your preferred political candidates. I'm not here to tell you not to do that. Go organize groups of your neighbors and talk to the police department. Sit down. I have a very close relationship with the police in my community. I talk to them all the time. They'll listen to you. But understand, your movement's been hijacked now. It's not a protest anymore. I wish it were. This is an insurrection.
You just heard The Dan Bongino Show. You can also get Dan's podcasts on iTunes or SoundCloud. And follow Dan on Twitter 24/7 @DBongino.